and coming back is another one. It's different from the tawaf around the Kaaba that you have to complete a circuit to be called one tawaf. Here is going is one and coming back is another one. So this is the Sa'i corridor. If we look in the real life picture, it's like this. You can see in the middle are two tracks for the wheelchair, and on the sides are the space for the people walking. We are looking into the corridor from standing at the As-Safa end, looking towards Al-Marwa end. The upper floor is like this. In fact, now there are more floors to it. So we look at in a diagrammatic form to understand how the Sa'i is done. This is the As-Safa end. That's Al-Marwa. That's the wheelchair track in the middle, connecting the two. That's one. There are two green light posts, one close to As-Safa and another one a little further. Both are in fact closer to As-Safa than Al-Marwa. In between these two is the area of Ramal. Okay, so when a person walks from As-Safa to Al-Marwa and back, when he reaches one green light post, he starts walking faster, and then at the second green light post he would slow down, and this is what is called Ramal. Ramal is a sunnah, it's not obligatory, but it is known from the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, reported by Ibn Majah, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that no one should pass the river bed, except with vigor. So he meant that, and this is because As-Safa was a small part of a mountain, and Al-Marwa was also a part of the mountain, and between the two was a river bed, and this was the area, and this is the area of Ramal where we walk faster. So you enter from the red dot represents a pilgrim. You enter from As-Safa end. This is where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam entered, and he recited, "Inna as-Safa wal Marwata min sha'airillah." That indeed the As-Safa and Marwa are the signs, symbols of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he said, we began as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala began. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala began with what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala began with As-Safa. Inna as-Safa wal Marwa. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned As-Safa first, then Al-Marwa. So this is why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam went to As-Safa, and he started the Sa'i from there. And of course it is also closer to Kaaba. When you finish the Tawaf, come to in opposition to Hajar Aswad, then it is closer. From there you walk towards As-Safa and you start there. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this is what he recited, and he approached the slope of As-Safa. Now there is no hill over there, there is no mountain there, it's just an uphill slope made on both ends in the corridor. So you climb up there. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam climbed that, and then he turned around and faced the Qibla, and this is the direction of the Qibla. What you are seeing there is, this is the direction towards which the Kaaba is. And once he stood and faced the Kaaba, then he recited these words, and these are the words everybody who's going for Hajj and Umrah should memorize. La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah, lahul mulku wa lahul hamdu wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir. La ilaha illallah wahda anjaza wa'da wa nasara abda wa hazama al-ahzaba wahda. And these are the words the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam recited. Then he raised his both hands and he made the dua. He made a long dua. Then he recited these words again. Then again he made a long dua. Then he recited these words the third time. And then after that he again made a long dua before he stepped down from there and head towards Al-Marwa. So once you finish doing that, so you do 3 times these, and in between you make the dua. Once you finish, then you leave for Al-Marwa. So having done that, then now you are heading towards Al-Marwa. If you see that that you reach there. Once you reach there, you do exactly the same thing what you did at As-Safa, that you go up the slope, you turn and you face towards the Qibla, and you make the dua, reciting those words 3 times and making the dua in between, raising the hands. Raising the hands here, facing the Qibla, these are all from the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So in this way, now you have done 2 of the trip of sa'i. In this way you do the 3rd one, and then the 4th one, the 5th, the 6th, and the 7th. Okay, so in this way you complete the 7 trips. So you started at As-Safa and you end up at Al-Marwa. Once you have finished that, again you face the Qibla, raising your hands, making the dua. You finish the dua and then you leave from the Al-Marwa end. Now a couple of rules I want to mention. What you are seeing there, the number 1 is that it is important to cover the full distance between As-Safa and Al-Marwa. Leaving any part of that invalidates the sa'i. And of course the sa'i is the obligatory part, is a pillar of both Hajj and Umrah. Second is that a woman should not try to go uphill, because doing that can have negative repercussions. She may be pushed and she may come in bodily contact with the men, which is not permissible, so she should avoid that. Some people are very aggressive in this. They will push and shove, and even the women will run, and this is not. Same issue is involved with the Ramal, that the Ramal is, as I said before, is not obligatory, rather this is a sunnah of the tawaf, especially if there is a man and a woman together, and of course the woman has to have a mahram with her. If the man walks faster and the woman gets behind, then this is not appropriate. In that case, he can walk with her and not do the Ramal. This will not have any effect on the validity of her sa'i. So in this way, then you leave the sa'i corridor, and next thing you do is the shaving or the trimming of the head. If a person is doing Hajj Tamattu, then he should trim the head rather than shaving the head. If you go for an Umrah in other times and you shave the head, then that is better. But in case of the Hajj Tamattu, doing the trimming of the head is more preferable, because, and this is an issue where the scholars argued, when because we know from the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam about the Hajj, he said that rahimullahu al-muhalliqin, and people said, Ya Rasulullah, what about muqassirin? And he kept on repeating until he added muqassirin as well. So he said that may Allah have mercy on those who shave their head. And people said, what about those who trim their head? So here the issue is that after the Umrah, whether it is the shaving or the trimming of the hair, which is preferable or more rewarding. And the answer to that is what is stated in the narrations from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he ordered them that go around the Kaaba, meaning do the tawaf, do the sa'i, and then trim your hair, he said. He did not say to shave their heads. And this is also proven from the narrations of Jabir radiallahu anhu, which you saw on the slide, where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that Jabir radiallahu anhu, he, in his words, he said that فَحَلَّ النَّاسُ كُلُّهُمْ وَقَصَّرُوا إِلَّا النَّبِيَّ صلى الله عليه وسلم وَمَنْ كَانَ مَعَهُ هَدْيٌ, that all the people, they trimmed their head. He didn't say that they shaved their head, rather he said they trimmed their hair, except Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and anyone who had the hadi with him. Because the one who had the hadi, like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they did the Qiran Hajj, they did not exited their ihram after the Umrah. So the word qassaru, which is used here, qassaru, the meaning to trim the hair, and this is what was done in after the Umrah. So this is why the scholars, they said that it is preferable that we trim the hair after the Umrah rather than shaving the head. It is also logical because if you shave the head after the Umrah in the Hajj Tamattu, then you will have no hair left for shaving again after the Hajj, because it's only few days after the Umrah. So inshallah, this is the the end of the Umrah. Once you have done that, then you finish the Umrah. One other rule about the trimming or the shaving of the head, that this should be done to the whole head, because often what people do is that they will take a little bit of hair from the right side, little bit on the left side, and a few from the back, and they think that this is the taqsir. Rather, this is not proper, and it does not fulfill the obligation. So it must be done to the whole head, whether it's trimming or the shaving. For the women, they just have to gather their hair all in their hand, and then they take a finger tip length of the hair from the end of their hair. So what they have to do is gather all their hair in both hands, bring them right to the end, and then take a little bit from the end. What the scholars say, that a fingertip length. Once you have done that, as I said, that the Umrah is complete, and you exit the Ihram, and you wait for the Yawm al-Tarwiyah, which is the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, which is when the Hajj starts. Okay, so those who are performing the Hajj Tamattu, their Umrah is over. Now they will wait for the Hajj. Okay, so we go to Hajj inshallah now. The Hajj, as I said, that it starts on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah. This is really, the whole text is not being shown on the I hope that you can see that. The 8th of Dhul Hijjah is the day of Tarwiyah. Day of Tarwiyah is when you begin the Hajj, the rites of Hajj. And this is proven from the hadith of Jabir radiallahu anhu and others, that they mention the 8th of Dhul Hijjah. Jabir radiallahu anhu, he said that when the Yawm al-Tarwiyah came, then people faced the Mina and they started the Talbiyah, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam also rode out, calling out the Talbiyah. And of course, as I said before, that this is the time when you call out for the Hajj, saying Allahumma labbaik hajja. You do exactly the same things as you did before the Umrah. So taking a bath, putting perfume on, preparing yourself, cleaning yourself, putting the ihram garment on, preferably after the obligatory prayer with Salatul Fajr, you make the niyyah of the Hajj. Once the sun rises, then you leave your place to go to Mina, and the sunnah is that you board the transport. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would usually board his mount, and then he would ride a little bit, stop, and then he will call out for the talbiyah. So most people would go on to their coaches or cars or whatever. So you board the coach or the car, and then you call the talbiyah, calling Allahumma labbaik hajja. You start the journey of the Hajj. Now, before we go actually to the explanation of how the Hajj is done, I want you to again remember the map of Makkah, which I showed you earlier. That's the boundary of the Makkah, is the Haram of Makkah. This is the sanctuary or the sacred area of the Makkah. And what we want to concentrate is those areas which are what we call Mashair al-Hajj, those areas where the Hajj is performed. You can see right in the middle, I don't know if you are able to see, is Masjid al-Haram. Then on the southeast of it are the three other areas, Mina, Muzdalifah and Arafah. Now it is important to note that the Arafah is outside the area of Haram of Makkah. Okay, so those rules which are applicable to the sanctuary of Makkah are not applicable there, which is such as the cutting of a tree. So if you see that's where this is just a zooming in of those particular areas. So all we have that area of the haram which is